Hey, everybody. Hope you're well and healthy and wear your mask and staying safe because we're in the middle of this pandemic, right? But you didn't come here for that. I'm explaining what you need to do if you received a payroll protection program loan established by the Small Business Administration through Bank of America. And while you expect your loan to be forgiven because you follow the rules, used it to pay your employees or contractors, and then suddenly discovered that the rules were changed on you, and now you're expected to pay back something that you knew you didn't have to pay back, and you're wondering what to do. Listen to this, because I and many thousands of others, at least perhaps millions, have experienced and gone through this problem. And to emphasize where we are now, let me give you a brief recap of where we've been. Just over a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, we were presented with the problem of something called the pandemic, caused by the worldwide propagation of this COVID-19 virus and its variants. A virus that is now acknowledged was made specifically to kill people. But it's taken us a while to really come to grips with what the world has had to deal with. In order to help businesses, large and small, cope with the problem, the federal government, under the Trump administration, formed something called the Payroll Protection Loan Program. And they also had had in the past, the Small Business Administration's Economic Disaster Loan Program. So first they started, the federal government, through the SBA, offering the Economic Disaster Loan Program. But as they were offering that $10,000 kind of emergency grant program, they were also fashioning the PPP Loan Program, which was established originally in April of 2020. And I and millions of others signed up for that program and experienced during that process, both with the Economic Disaster Loan and the PPP loan, crashing websites, long times on hold, many times getting booted off the system. You probably know the drill. I blogged about it and vlogged about it. So then after dealing with all that, you finally got your loan. And you used it as you were supposed to. Only then to discover that they changed the rules on us after administering us the loan. For example, you and I both know that we can use the money to pay contractors. Well, then they turned around and changed the rules and said that you can't do that. But that was after it was administered to us. Many people have went through that. There are other rules that have been adjusted as well. And the Biden administration took over the program, but made little changes in it and seemed to not want to deal with the mess that was caused by the rush to get the program out by the Trump administration. So, in effect, we've been stuck with the problem through a change of administration with no repair whatsoever of anything meaningful, just more efforts to get out more money because, and for the rightful reason, that the money was needed. That People were losing their ability to make money because the people that normally would hire them or buy their services or buy their products didn't have the money to do so. This marks what is undoubtedly the largest single negative circular economic relationship in not just America's history, but the world. And what I mean by that is a situation where, quite literally, one person not having money impacts others. That's what's happened. And so the government was expected to step in and fill the gap through these programs so that we can not just maintain our businesses, but maintain the United States to some degree of where it was in 2019 before the pandemic. But what has happened is that I contend, because the Bank of America's president acknowledged initially they weren't going to make any money out of the program and that they were going to lose it, that they began to fashion ways to recover their losses, as opposed to just simply deal with the fact that they weren't given enough to sustain the administrative costs that they were dealing with, and then have the government say, you know what, we'll straighten out this problem for you, which is really what should happen. Instead, what we have now is a changing of the rules and also a revelation that the way the rules reformed the program was such that they had an automatic built-in system where you and I had to pay back a certain percentage period, which means it's not forgivable. And the idea that this loan was supposed to be forgivable turned out to be a fraud. Just something to hook you in to get it so that banking institutions can make a heck of a lot of money off your misery and mine in the middle of a pandemic. Well, I'm here to tell you that people are banding together to do something about it. And local elected officials and national elected officials, aldermen and congressmen, senators and city council members, governors, and state representatives must be put on notice about this problem and asked, heck, demanded that they jump in and help out. Why not? Because many of them use the ability of these programs to present their constituents who are small business owners on live streams and videos to say, hey, here is how I'm helping Mr. and Mrs. Joe Business stay afloat during the pandemic through these programs. Well, if you're going to put us out there as recipients of the PPP loan program, then you should put yourself out there as being willing to fix the program that you happily got your constituents to become involved in. That's only right. So, what should one do if they find themselves in the middle of this awful situation? Well, first of all, I will say this: don't panic. And as I put here on this blog post in the description area, which will become a blog post, if you're one of those victimized, here are some things to do. One, contact the Small Business Administration, SBA. I'm certain you've done that already. Contact your state attorney general. Contact your congressional representatives. Contact the Better Business Bureau. Contact the Chamber of Commerce. Contact your state's bank regulatory board, starting with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which a link is provided here, the URL. And there you will find the following listed: the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, the Federal Reserve Board, the National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, and the Conference of State Bank Supervisors, the CSBS. Also, file a complaint with the SBA Capital Access Financial System to halt any loan guarantee that Bank of America may be depending on from the SBA. If nothing else, consider bringing the matter to a small claims court to force an examination of the terms of your promissory note. Those are some things you can do, but also share your story with me. You don't have to use your name, but you can write it and simply subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube, but you can send it to my email, zenny@zenny62.com. You won't be the first person that's done so. And I also encourage you to make your own YouTube channel, which is easy to do if you have Gmail. All you have to do is go to the upper right-hand corner of your Gmail account and look for that dot tic-tac-toe pattern, press on it, and that will be your Google Apps. Then go down, press on the app that represents the Google logo, excuse me, the YouTube logo. I'll repeat, go down and look and press on the app that looks like the Google logo. And what it will take you to is your YouTube channel page. And if you want to see your channel, all you have to do is go to the upper right-hand corner there and look at your avatar. If your name happens to be the name of the Gmail account you're using, you'll see your initials. Click on that, and it will pull down a list of places you can go, including something called Your Channel. You can go there. But if you haven't gotten to the point where you've given necessary prompts early on, there are only two. To set up the channel, it'll ask you to do those, which take milliseconds, and you're good to go. And then there's a little kind of square that looks like a camera with a plus in it. That's where you can go if you're on your desktop to make your video. If you're on your phone, you have to download the YouTube app. So, and then after you've done all that, make a video. Make it as long as you need to tell your story, but ideally, I would say 5 minutes or 8. It's difficult to do it in 2, but 5 to 8 minutes on average, it gets the job done. And make sure you put in the title, B of A PPP Loan Forgiveness, to add your voice to those online who are already pointing at Bank of America. And the title should read, again, Bank of America PPP Loan Forgiveness. So add that to your title so that you can join the list of people who are calling for change and calling for Bank of America to simply treat them right. It isn't enough to say, well, let's go to another bank, because this is a problem with some other banks too. But it is a large problem with Bank of America because Bank of America has the largest clientele of all the other banks. And we want to like Bank of America, okay? We want our institutions to work properly. The only way to make them work properly is to take action. And so with that, I'm going to close this. And thank you very much for your time. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. That ends this broadcast.